Hello, I am Dana Jifi and welcome to my poster presentation. My research project is a systematic review of the impact of nutrition and lifestyle on chronic bladder conditions. Now let's take a closer look. You might have already heard of the saying, "You are what you eat," and it is actually a very descriptive saying as it highlights the importance of a healthy diet on the general well-being of a person. This idea dates back to several centuries ago, but it wasn't until the 1970s where dietary management was integrated in urological treatment. Now, the normal pathophysiology of the bladder can be altered by various chronic conditions such as interstitial cystitis, overactive bladder, and post-traumatic bladder irritations. Comestibles that are ingested in our diet can alleviate or exacerbate those symptoms by acting on the bladder through several mechanisms, and one example is their ability to act as neuromodulators of the parasympathetic and sympathetic innervation of the bladder. Now, owing to all these facts, shedding a light on the importance of diet and lifestyle for treating those symptoms will incredibly advance urological field and will aid in improving the patient's poor quality of life, who is unfortunately faced by increased stress due to high cost of treatment, their inability to socialize, and their decreased work productivity. The aim of this study is to explore the effects of nutrition, lifestyle, and dietary management of comorbid conditions on chronic conditions affecting the urinary bladder. The methods are summarized in this schematic diagram that I created on the right side of the poster, and it shows that initially 1,016 papers were identified through searching PubMed, and after the screening process, a total of 55 articles were included for the final qualitative synthesis. The results of the study can be categorized into three groups. Firstly, with overactive bladder, behavioral modifications are the first line of treatment and can be subcategorized into habit changes and training techniques. Firstly, habit changes focus on educating the patients about timed voiding techniques as well as encouraging them to lose weight and stop smoking in order to reduce severity of overactive bladder symptoms. Second of all, training techniques such as pelvic floor muscle exercises, which are more commonly known as Kegel's exercises, can suppress urgency, control incontinence, and restore normal voiding intervals. Moreover, we are all aware of the importance of vitamins in our body, and in relation to our urinary bladder, treating vitamin D deficient patients with supplements not only reduces severity of incontinence, but also serves as a protective factor against incontinence in women. Interestingly, unlike vitamin D, high levels of vitamin C supplements can increase acidity of urine, thus exacerbating frequency and urgency of urination. However, on the other side, baseline dietary vitamin C intake from fruits and vegetables, for example oranges, can improve storage symptoms. Furthermore, studies exploring effectiveness of herbal medications such as Granufunk femina show significant improvement in urination frequency. A very interesting fact is that overactive bladder is a multifactorial condition, and managing comorbidities like type 2 diabetes mellitus and constipation effectively reduce symptoms of the Truser overactivity, which is the pathophysiology behind overactive bladder. And last but certainly not least, dietary management is a very impactful factor in improving symptoms of overactive bladder and interstitial cystitis. In fact, it is the first line of treatment for patients with interstitial cystitis. I've created this diagram that illustrates some common comestible sensitivities of both overactive bladder and interstitial cystitis. On the left side of the plate, we can see that items such as chocolate, citrus fruits, spices, caffeinated drinks can irritate the bladder. In contrast, on the right side, we can see proteins such as eggs and nuts, as well as fruits such as apples, vanilla-flavored products, and drinks like chamomile are all beneficial for the bladder, particularly in alleviating symptoms of overactive bladder and interstitial cystitis. Now, other modifiable factors for alleviating interstitial cystitis symptoms include smoking cessation and reduction of alcohol intake, and they can reduce bladder pain and irritation. In combination with that, behavioral modifications like pelvic floor manual therapy, sleep hygiene, and reduced stress can all help reduce urgency and frequency symptoms. Finally, just like overactive bladder, dietary management of comorbidities can improve chronic pain. And one of the most commonly reported comorbidity of interstitial cystitis is irritable bowel syndrome, in which bowel inflammation can lead to bladder pain. This can be explained by cross-organ sensitization. Now, one of the proposed mechanisms behind it is spinal convergence of afferents, which is illustrated in this diagram on the right side of the screen. Small meals, high soluble fibers, and increased water intake can help improve these symptoms. And lastly, subgroup of cystitis that arises from chemotherapy and radiotherapy to the pelvis is characterized by hemorrhagic bladder symptoms. Patient outcomes can be improved by treating the patients with vitamin C and histidine, as they act as anti-inflammatory and antioxidant substance. Additionally, it is very important to carry out a nutritional assessment and replenish any of the nutritional deficiencies found in the patient before carrying out the radiation therapy, and that is to maximize the healing of the mucosa. As a conclusion, educating patients on the ideal lifestyle and diet in relation to their bladder condition is recommended before any medical intervention. Our research project aims to raise awareness in the physician and the patient and provide a tool for the patient to self-manage their symptoms easily. And finally, it promotes a healthy lifestyle in the general population. You can scan this QR code that will redirect you to some tables extracted from my full research paper, and you will find that they list some comestible sensitivities with more details if you're interested, and you can also find my contact details for any further inquiries. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day.